know about field maps because we use Collector. A lot of people use Collector. I figured we need to know what's coming, what's going on, how to use it. I don't know anything about you, so you can do an introduction and then jump in because that's what we're all here to hear.
That'll work.
Yeah, awesome. Good.
That'll work. So yeah, everybody, I'm Chase Fisher. I'm a solution engineer for local government with Esri. I work out of the St. Louis regional office. Robin mentioned, we talked about field maps and what's coming down the pipe. So that's what we wanted to center our focus on today. I got a lot of stuff to cover, and it'll, maybe 30, 45 minutes worth of demonstration and talk, and then we can do some Q&A. So I'll ask if we just hold all the questions till the end of the presentation. Sounds like you guys are a pretty quiet bunch already, so I don't think that'll be an issue. But we'll cover a lot of stuff, talk about ArcGIS Field Maps and this new application, new offering that we have. And then, like I said, we'll go into a little bit of a Q&A at the end. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my video off just to save on bandwidth. But I assume everyone can see my screen, ArcGIS Field Maps and Introduction.
We can, Chase.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, like I said, thanks for joining me. Let's dive right in. So what I thought I'd do to kick things off is just give a little bit of strategy information, where we're at today and where we're heading in regards to field operations. And then dive into field maps, where we are currently, show a couple demo videos, and end up with what the roadmap ahead is. So if you've been using Esri apps, you know that we've been building out a suite of very focused apps that will cover all the different aspects of field operations, from coordination to planning, navigating, turn-by-turn directions, the read-only understandings that come with Explorer, and then also the bread and butter, the field data collection. It seems crazy to say that it was back in 2014 when we started building Collector, and it's quickly become the foundation of our field operations initiatives. So as more customers begin adopting field apps in their organizations and adopting WebGIS as a whole, we started adding more capabilities: Survey 123, Quick Capture, Workforce, Tracker, Navigator. We followed a path that was kind of set forth by Apple and Google in building focused apps for each activity or capability. And all the apps you see here are built from our core ArcGIS Runtime SDK. We've come from the foundation of this being, all Esri centric to this is our field app story today. However, through communication with our customers, which is how we do all of our development, we found out that the multi-app strategy, even while it was recommended, has become cumbersome for some customers. Organizations found that deploying multiple apps to complete a workflow, it's not an ideal situation. I mean, if you had to link between Workforce to assign a task and then Collector to collect the data, that would require downloading two apps from the App Store, signing into each app, linking them together in some manner or another, and in some workflows, downloading copies of data multiple times. So we shifted our focus last year into a focused approach of building ArcGIS Field Maps. So where ArcGIS Field Maps is a one application, you can use this to complete a lot of different activities. We started down that path, included a number of different capabilities that we'll talk about more in detail in the presentation. But I want to also highlight that even though we're building this one app solution to accomplish these tasks, Esri will continue to build very focused apps as well. So you can think about ArcGIS Survey 123 as one of those very focused apps. It takes a very form-centric approach for data collection. Similarly, Quick Capture provides a rapid on-the-go data collection platform, with a very big, simple, big button experience. Some of the other apps you may not have heard before: ArcGIS Mission Responder, Indoors, Earth. Each of these have very specific capabilities that we'll continue to expand upon as focused apps, not included in the field maps consolidation. So where are we at today? We actually put together and released ArcGIS Field Maps pretty quickly over the course of last year. In December update to ArcGIS Online, we brought together the capabilities of Explorer, ArcGIS Collector, and ArcGIS Tracker. So in one solution today, you can support your map viewing needs, your map markup capabilities that were inherently in Explorer, high accuracy data collection capabilities that are part of Collector, and the transaction models within Esri to do workflow for like inspections and that type of thing. Leveraging work that you've already put into designing geodatabases. And then also we brought in the location tracking capabilities of Tracker. So in this one application, you can view maps, record locations, broadcast your current status, collect data, and do those inspection workflows like you could with the previous apps, but all in one centric location. So that's what we've released already with the December update. But there's more to it than that. There's also a part on the back end, a part of a solution called ArcGIS Field Maps that we dedicated to the back end office web application. Now, this application is really designed for the GIS professional, somebody who needs to rapidly configure and deploy maps for anything, for any of these activities. So we brought it together, and as you can see in the screen here, the screenshot, you got offline capabilities checked. This is able to do some troubleshooting. Now, you used to have to search around for the different components of the application and make sure everything was aligned. But now within this web app, we can see it all in one location. So we'll know be able to troubleshoot whether your maps are ready to take offline, the layers, the map, the base maps. Directly do things like enable the map, enable the sync, and enable the layers, and diagnose if your base map doesn't support generating offline areas, that sort of thing. This is all in a way, and we'll talk about a little further in the presentation, but a way to configure your layers for data collection in one location. Now, whether it be feature templates you use to collect information or new form capabilities that we've introduced as well, this capability will continue to move forward and grow significantly. We'll be adding ArcGIS Workforce in the future, so you can receive and complete work on the mobile app, but also dispatch and manage the work and assignments through the web application as well. So from a mobile perspective, the December release, I already mentioned that already, but we brought together a lot of capabilities from the Tracker, Collector, and Explorer. One thing I want to highlight on this slide here is that we did update the system requirements. So currently ArcGIS Field Maps requires iOS 13.5 or higher, or Android 8 or higher to run Field Maps mobile application. It is not currently set to be developed for Windows applications. And the reason that is Windows has a new initiative out called Latte, kind of like Java, but a little different, I guess. This Latte is going to incorporate Android's platform into Windows. So instead of going on and developing Windows native, we already have Android. Microsoft's going to cover that, and it should be able to run in Windows in the near future. So right now, currently, Field Maps operates on iOS 13.5 and Android 8 or higher, but it should be able to operate in a Windows platform soon. So let's talk about map viewing capabilities. Map viewing and map markup, there's a couple things I wanted to highlight. Field Maps is just like any other Esri app. It's powered by the underlying runtime engine. We've updated Field Maps to the latest version of that engine. And with that update comes a lot of new capabilities. Things like advanced symbology, functionality to be able to leverage arcade expressions language for labeling and symbology alone. But not only just that, you can do it in the pop-ups as well. So it's very powerful for some advanced capabilities within these feature sets. And if you don't know what arcade is, and you're a GIS professional, I highly recommend you spend some time learning and understanding it, because it's very powerful language that you can use to leverage when you're making these maps for the field. Change symbology based on attributes, change information based on data. It's very powerful what we can utilize in the back end, and since it's on the newest version of runtime, it's becoming even more powerful. We also support the concept of group layers, so you can have a lot of content inside your maps. You can quickly turn on or off layers in the map using the concept of group layers. It also has a lot of map tools, part of Explorer and Collector that were included, but one you may not have heard about is the compass tool. So when you're thinking about a compass tool, think about it like when you're paired with an external GNSS, like a Trimble R2. You can get the compass tool to navigate you to a location of an asset, and that asset may be buried or hidden. But these are precision directions, not turn left at this street. This is like getting you right over the asset or right to the point with precision location directions. The markup capabilities that I talk about, and I've mentioned a couple times just briefly, if you're coming from Collector, it may be new to you, but if you've used Explorer, you may understand it. It's a way to draw graphics on top of your map. Now, this markup can be a marker or a note. You can freehand sketch areas. You can actually draw shapes. It'll recognize shapes like rectangles and circles. You can take that markup and share it peer-to-peer as a screenshot or in the markup itself. You can send it to a colleague by email or text message. You can also open that markup up and see it on map. And if you have the proper privileges within your organization, you can share it back to your organization as a feature layer inside ArcGIS as well. So when it comes to high accuracy data collection, I think the most fundamental thing to mention here is that ArcGIS Field Maps comes with all the capabilities that ArcGIS Collector came with. So just know there's a lot of solutions we provide around high accuracy data collection, many key partners that we can leverage the enhanced accuracy of their products. Now, this is to say, if you've never used Collector, you may not know, but we can capture things like orthometric heights, store them as elevation value in the geometry. We can provide GPS averaging in the app settings. You can turn on confidence levels so that you can know that you're getting the most accurate measurements. And then there's also a GPS bar in the app to show details on the fly. So there's a lot of capabilities in there. And with that, I'm going to start a video here. This is Eric Wagner, one of our solution engineers on the water team. He's going to go through a workflow with field maps using an external GNSS and show you some high accuracy data collection. I hope I set my sharing to share audio. Whenever he takes off, if for some reason you're not hearing anything, just somebody speak up and I'll fix that. But after he does the field collection, he'll take it back to the office and he'll display some more information in dashboards to help an organization deal with day-to-day events. So we'll start the video.
Hi, my name is Eric Wagner, and I'm a solution engineer on the water utilities team. Efficiency and accuracy are critical to effectively coordinating operations at utilities every day. To do this, you're probably using many of our current apps, like ArcGIS Quick Capture, Survey 123, and more to complete your work in the field. But you've asked us to combine many of these great apps into one.
It looks like the video froze.
Hey, Chase, can you hear us? The video of Eric froze. Hey, Chase, if you can hear us, the video's frozen. I sent you a Teams message as well. Eric does look very serious in his frozen pose, though.
I'm thinking he was about to impart some very important information that we all really needed to hear. I'm beginning to wonder if maybe Chase can't hear us.
Yeah, I do wonder about that too.
Yeah, and I sent him a,
Yeah, I think he's off of here now.
yep. I sent him an offline message, but I think he's on do not disturb.
So we can talk amongst ourselves, I guess, for a little while. Does anyone know if Chase is signed up to do a talk at ITAG or if someone else will be presenting field maps?
I know we discussed it. I don't know if anyone's reached out to him. I thought maybe
Okay.
we might do that today.
I know that, or I've heard anyway, that Esri can actually come to the conference to present, but I was hoping maybe they could do, something like this, a live webinar we could all watch in the same room.
Robin, that's correct. We're not going to be able to attend in person, but
Yeah.
yeah, we can. Sure. I'll Chase is now on the hook.
You just signed him up. Excellent.
Yeah, we did. And while he hasn't called back in, what else? Is there anything else you guys wanted to do?
Well, we should definitely talk about that. What else does he know? What else can we?
Hey Matt, this is Dave Kroll.
Dave?
He just mentioned arcade, and I think it'd be good for everybody just to get a little, I don't know, something, just a splash in the pan about arcade, just some some basic stuff and or a mix of some more advanced stuff.
That's a
Yeah.
great idea.
Kind of in relation to maybe like web app builder or
Yes,
experience
yeah,
builder type of thing. Yeah.
yeah.
Like arcade for web app, something like that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know there's some people on this call that have used it a little bit, and I myself have dabbled, and the documentation is fantastic, but it just always helps to, maybe get it in front of somebody who wouldn't ordinarily use it, but just needs to be exposed.
Yeah, absolutely. I will. I can make notes of that, and I know Matt. I just got a message from Chase. Lost power and internet.
Oh,
Oh.
He's probably
That's
going,
rough.
what are the chances of that?
right. Exactly.
It's like every
Right now.
presenter's nightmare right there.
Yeah.
Yep, it was 100%. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I lost power and internet, and I haven't lost power and internet since I moved into this house.
So the good thing, Chase, is we're a really informal group, so it couldn't have happened in
Yeah.
front of a nicer group of people. Trust me.
All right, so
That's
I
a good
will.
group.
Let me bring up my presentation again and get this queued up. I apologize, guys.
So your
And
power's
Chase,
back?
it makes sense. Your power's out. I mean, I know we only live a couple miles away, but I don't see a cloud in the sky. It's nice.
Yeah,
Blue sky,
exactly.
sunny.
Huh.
Yeah, it's
So there's
it's
a
back.
really
It's
crispy
back
squirrel.
now. So
Good.
yeah, it's probably a squirrel.
Yep.
So yeah, it went out and came back on, and then of course it takes 2 or 3 minutes for internet to regain connection. But let me get to where I was at.
So while you were gone, Chase, we voluntold you for a couple sessions at ITAG.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad to share. I mean, it's
Well, they'll be
it's,
virtual, but good.
it's a challenge, sharing all this information out. It really is. Like there's so much that comes so fast.
Yeah.
It does get pretty hard to get it all shared to people. So I will need to be given presenter capabilities again. There we are. Now let's share. And wait a second.
And Josh, I don't see Matt on, but he had sent me a email about signing up or signing Chase up for for some sessions at the conference and kind of how to do that virtually. So I'll be following up with that, and we'll get that stuff sent out and registered and everything too.
Okay.
All right, guys. Yeah. So can you guys see my screen again?
You bet.
All right. I will go ahead and start this video again. And yeah, I saw it in the chat, put some questions in there and I'll go back over them, towards the end. If you have any questions and you don't want to have to remember them to the end. So let's get started with that video again. Again, Eric Wagner, solution engineer from the water team.
Hi, my name is Eric Wagner, and I'm a solution engineer on the water utilities team. Efficiency and accuracy are critical to effectively coordinating operations at utilities every day. To do this, you're probably using many of our current apps, like ArcGIS Quick Capture, Survey 123, and more to complete your work in the field. But you've asked us to combine many of these great apps into one. So in addition to those other apps you already use, I want to introduce Esri's newest mobile app, ArcGIS Field Maps. In its first release, it will combine the editing capabilities of Collector with the viewing and location tracking functions of Explorer and Tracker. Today I'm at a construction site doing some asset collection. Let's see how field maps can help me get my work done. Viewing and understanding the specific details about all of your utilities assets is critical to daily operations. For example, I can look up additional information about this valve at the end of the street. I can also take a look into its historic maintenance records as well, and in particular, see the work that was done last January. Field Maps also allows for the use of high-accuracy GNSS receivers to collect newly installed assets, like this valve. With 2 taps, the location is recorded. Now information about the valve needs to be entered. Field Maps allows collected asset information to be placed into logical groups to simplify data entry. When combined with default values and drop-down lists, data collection is faster and easier. I'll set this valve type to gate and submit this feature. Snapping also ensures the proper placement of new features that I need to collect as well. I'll add a main segment to connect this newly collected valve to the other valve at the end of the street. Now I need to record some information about it. One of the exciting new features about Field Maps is the addition of smart forms. This functionality only shows fields that need to be completed for this new feature based on my inputs. Right now, I can only see general details, but when I set the main type to distribution main, an entire section with additional fields is now visible and already filled in with default values. Time is saved when I only see the appropriate fields as I collect data. Existing assets can be updated as well, and smart forms can make this process more accurate too. The yellow valve at the end of the street needs to have its status updated from open to closed due to construction in the area. I can tap on this valve, select it, and begin editing it to change its present status from open to close, and I'll see that a new notes field is now present to me. I can even fill this out using voice recognition software. Valve closed due to ongoing construction. And I'll submit these changes. The valve is now red for others to see that it's been closed, and the notes are there to explain to others why the status has been changed. I can also share information using markups. Notes can be added to the map for others to understand conditions on the job site. Due to active construction on the houses behind me, I can't GPS newly installed water laterals. So here, I'll add a markup to this location, and I'll add a note to it saying that construction is in progress and submit it. As you've seen, Field Maps allows data to be viewed and collected in the field, but it also lets users share their locations with managers throughout the day to improve coordination between field crews. I can turn on Tracker by tapping on the top of the screen and flipping the switch next to Track My Location. And if I want to see those tracks from throughout the day, I can turn this layer on in the map as well. ArcGIS Field Maps allowed me to more efficiently and accurately view, collect, and share data, all from one application. But what does it look like to coordinate an entire team of field workers? Let's go back into the office and take a look. Regardless of the apps that you use in the field, your crews and assets can be visualized using ArcGIS dashboards to increase coordination at utilities of any size through a common operating picture. Here I have a quick overview of my assets, field crews, and work orders. Knowing this allows managers to make informed decisions using real-time data. This main break is an urgent issue that needs to be responded to immediately. And since I know the location of my field crews, I'm able to determine who's nearby and who in particular is closest. In this case, I can see it's Jonas, who's a little over a mile away, so I'll contact him first. And if additional support is needed, I'll reach out to Mike as well. As the situation begins to unfold, it's important to understand the different assets that are in the area, such as service connections or fire hydrants, to begin to paint a picture of the different assets that might be impacted when this leak is isolated. Utilities don't get to choose when emergencies happen, but by having the right technology in the field and office allows you to respond with coordinated operations for infrastructure management.
Okay, so that demo, like I said, branched out a little bit from Field Maps to encompass, one of my favorite apps, ArcGIS Dashboards. So dashboards helps organizations gain valuable situation intel. So if you or your organization want to know more about dashboards, don't hesitate to reach out. So now let's look on into the transaction model support. So when it comes to transaction model support, I think it's really important to understand at a high level that we support the full platform with Field Maps. That means you can use what are called hosted feature services inside ArcGIS Online or in ArcGIS Enterprise and just store the data directly in those layers. And when you do that, it's kind of a last one in wins type of scenario. But if you're using ArcGIS server-based feature services, you have a little more functionality. Like you can use version transaction models that come natively. You can include what's called traditional versioning and as well as branch versioning that was introduced with the support of the utility network. So today we support the full gamut of versioning with one exception. If you're working in a connected state, meaning you're not downloading the data and to your device for offline use and you're utilizing Enterprise and the server, we don't support editing against a single branch. Now I know that's kind of deep, so I apologize for that, but if you're into how these models and these inspection workflows work, it's very important to know these details. But when it comes to relationship data, we do support the typical relations like the one-to-many workflow, relating one fire hydrant to many inspection records. And utilizing arcade language, you can set up dependencies saying, like when I click on a feature, like a hydrant, bring me the last inspection that failed, or just the last inspection in general. There are a lot of capabilities built into Field Maps when it comes to inspection workflows. I want to touch on location tracking and typically the back end of it, but or specifically the back end of it. Location tracking may be pretty new concept to a lot of you. You may have been focused on, let's say, collector survey 123, but we introduced a product called ArcGIS Tracker, which was a standalone product we introduced last year. In that product, we leverage the core motion APIs. So as well as location, we're capturing location and the history of location. So what does that really mean? It means that we tapped into the fitness API of your device. By leveraging that information, we're able to know when someone's walking, driving, or stationary. This enables us to dictate when to use the data, when to turn it off. And the result in this was immense battery saving benefits. So people often ask, is this going to drain my battery? Well, if we wouldn't have baked into this, then yes, it would. But this is pretty battery efficient. So, but within the map, you can also just turn off or on tracking. So in the background, if it's on, we'll record your location in one layer. It'll have your last known location. It can broadcast it on set intervals of 30 or 60 seconds. And we can also keep a breadcrumb trail of where you've been. So this is proved to be beneficial in a multitude of different ways for worker safety, accountability, etc. We don't currently have a way to demand that it be on. I don't know if they're going to bake that in, but I know that's a question I've got asked a lot. Right now, we leave it in the functionality of the worker. You just have to inform your worker when you're working. You got to turn it on. When you're not working, turn it off. We've also used this API to start utilizing peripherals in the Apple iOS platforms like Apple Watch, and we got some integrations into Apple CarPlay. So it's interesting to see where we're going to go and continue to expand these capabilities. So ArcGIS Field Maps includes support for working indoors. We have a product called ArcGIS Indoors. So viewing a map or a map package that contains facilities and level layers in compliance with the ArcGIS Indoor Information Model unlocks new capabilities like floor awareness. To provide floor awareness within ArcGIS Field Maps, you must have an indoors compliant layer, including the two layers, facilities and levels. And when a feature or facility is in view, we'll show you a floor picker icon. And if the layers of that level are there in the level ID field, Field Maps will automatically give you the option to pick from that drop-down menu. Floor order is determined by the vertical order of the field. There's a lot of indoors jargon here, but basically, if you're using indoors, you can use it in Field Maps. And we're going to continue to expand on these tools to utilize it and even edit in the future. But basically right now, if you have it, you scan into it in Field Maps, you have the capabilities to scan through the floors and utilize ArcGIS Indoors within ArcGIS Field Maps. So let's talk about feature templates for a minute. Using ArcGIS Field Maps web app, you can configure and manage all different types of features. Effectively, this is your data dictionary, creating different types of features, transforming it into the mobile app, and using GIS feature creation within the app to, let's say, do damage assessment or sign inventory. In the web app, you can order lists, change the name of the templates, apply default attributes to each template, delete existing templates, and even duplicate them. And in the next demonstration video, he'll show you utilizing some of those templates. And smart forms. So this is really exciting. Smart forms capability, not to be confused with Survey 123, is capabilities that are coming to the ArcGIS platform as a whole. Field Maps was really the tip of this spear, driving work that's happening in the rest of the platform. So with smart forms within the app today, the pop-up defines editing behavior of the application, whether that be in view or collector. However, now with the feature form, we've expanded that capability. So basically, smart forms it's changing the way you insert data into an application. So giving it more of a form-centric data feel, but within collector or within these different apps. With the fall release of this, smart form capabilities includes groups, conditional visibility, arcade expressions, required fields. This has always been challenging with ArcGIS. We've added additional logic to the form definition, allows you to determine when a field is required, when it's not required. We have a designer experience in the web app, and this is really just the first release. We have aggressive plans to build and modify more functionality into the smart form into subsequent releases. And as I mentioned earlier, the forms will not only appear in Field Maps, but they'll be in other areas of our platform, in Viewer, web editing apps, and eventually in ArcGIS Pro as well. Just simplifying the data entry functionality. So with that said, like I said, you may be wondering about Survey 123. Survey 123 embraces that standard XLS forms. It's a rich set of capabilities that may not be possible within smart forms. So we'll continue to grow that form-centric capability of Survey 123 over time, and it will be a focused form-first approach. So Survey 123 is not going anywhere, and it may always be the right solution depending on the type of data you're collecting. So offline capabilities, ArcGIS Field Maps web app brings together all these settings and capabilities for managing offline maps. And we kind of touched on that in the very beginning with how that screenshot showed you how you could diagnose and create and manage those offline areas. But just so you know, we're bringing these capabilities together in one location for the management, and it's going to simplify this offline data workflow. No longer you're going to have to go everywhere to try to find those components. They're all going to be in one location to help you diagnose and fix those issues and manage offline map areas. and all within the ArcGIS Field Maps web app. So with that, we're going to show another video here. This is a web app demo, so it's going to show you the backend components, some of those feature templates and stuff. So without any further ado.
ArcGIS Field Maps includes a new web application you can use to rapidly configure and deploy your maps to mobile workers. It's integrated into ArcGIS Online and it'll be available right here through the app launcher. Let's open it up and take a look. Here on the home page, you're going to get a list of your maps so that you can configure some of their properties. You could also create a new map directly here in the home app. If I hover over the map card, I can edit its sharing permissions. I can delete that map, or I can go and configure more of its properties. If I click the edit button in the overview tab, I could change the name of the map, the summary, even the thumbnail that's associated with that map. The overview tab also provides me with some meaningful information like the offline status of this map, which is currently disabled, and whether it's been shared with a group for my field workers, which it's not been shared. So let's take a look at the other properties. Let's open up the layers tab. And in the layers tab, we get access to all of the map layers that are in this web map. If I expand out the editable layers, here we can look at our hazards, map layer, and directly access the templates that are a part of this layer. The feature templates are really the types of features that you can create inside of the mobile application. And in this hazards layer, what I want to do, I'm going to take this dissatisfied customer template. I'm going to drag it up so it's a little higher in our template list, drop it, and then configure some of its properties. You can see on the right-hand side here, the display name for it. I can expand out the default values. For dissatisfied customers, we might want to change some of the special instructions to include contacting dispatch and setting a priority of high for that. Something else we can do here in the templates list for a feature template is I can duplicate it. So I can create a new template into this same type and use that to represent our satisfied customer. And here, we don't have to contact dispatch for it. Really, no priority to that whatsoever. Then I can save my templates, and that's modified directly into the layer for the next time that I want to use this map. Also here in the layers tab is where you'll be able to access the form properties and set, that look and feel of what the form is going to look like inside the mobile application with defining groups, being able to add conditional logic, sort and order those fields, and all the wonderful new features that are coming there. Let's move over to the offline tab. And here in the offline tab, we can look at the properties of this map as they relate to taking the map offline. And you can see we already have some issues. There's an editable layer in this map, the hazards layer we've been working with already, that doesn't have sync enabled. Right now, what I'd have to do, I'd have to go to the item details, into the settings portion of it, and turn on the sync. But here inside of the web application, I can directly enable sync on that layer, which really simplifies my workflow. Likewise, I can look at all of the reference layers that are part of this map. I can open up the base map, notice that it's the world street map, the nighttime street map. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the web map directly with the embedded map viewer. And right here, as the map opens up, I can go and change the base map from this nighttime map to our nice vector navigation map. I'm going to close that, save the map. And now it's really ready for me to enable offline mode. I don't have to go do that inside of the web application, the ArcGIS Viewer web application. I could do it right here inside of the Field Maps app. With offline mode enabled, I could then open up the predefined map areas user experience that's really right now in the settings of the web map item details. And I can create new offline areas that include the regions that my field workers need to operate in. I could modify the properties of how features and attachments are delivered in the application, both for the editable layers as well as the read-only layers. And right here, I could provide details to a tile package that I might want to side load to the mobile device for offline map use as well. So you can see how I've got a lot of access inside of these different tabs directly letting me modify properties of the web map. Last thing I want to do, I'm going to move over to the sharing tab. This is opening up the sharing dialog that you use all the time inside of ArcGIS Online. And it's letting me edit the group sharing properties for this map and accompanying layers. So we share this into our residential service inspection group, hit OK, save it. And it makes that web map now available for my field workers to directly open up on their mobile device. So you can see how the Field Maps web application brings together all those common properties, lets you quickly assemble and configure maps, both for data collection workflows, but also for those simple map query and offline visualization workflows as well.
So, you know, I hope that was beneficial, helping you understand more of the web app backend. And we can go into that a little bit more in the future if we need to. But for now, let's touch on mobile device management, or MDMs. So if your organization is using an MDM or thought about using an MDM, it's a great way to manage a large quantity of devices. So we've been adding the concept of configuration keywords into ArcGIS Field Maps. So say you're using ArcGIS Enterprise, one of the first things you have to do is sign in. And this typically requires that the end user type in the URL of portal. And let's be honest, your users are going to get it wrong 98% of the time. So when using an MDM and using app configuration keywords, you can push those devices directly through the MDM so that the end user doesn't have to figure that out. We can take them straight to the sign in where they can just put in their username and password, and let's hope they remember that part. But likewise, there's other capabilities built in there too. You know, if your environment's behind your firewall, an MDM has support in Field Maps for app level VPN. So you don't have to log into a separate VPN software. It can be handled through the app. So that's some good capabilities built into Field Maps that'll continue to expand as time progresses. So now let's kind of round this out and finish up with the roadmap. So 2021, 2022 product roadmap. You know, these details are subject to change, but this is where it stands currently. This is where we're headed. So there's a lot of exciting things coming down the pipe. A lot of work around smart forms, things like auto calculations. Bringing work management capabilities into Field Maps with ArcGIS Workforce, utility networks in the future, tracing and outage management capabilities. We're looking to further our indoor capabilities for editing capabilities in the field. One of my favorite things, webhooks. You know, really completing a workflow with different notifications and different abilities within webhooks is pretty awesome. I've used it quite a bit. Push notifications on a device, you know, being able to push those notifications out to the employees, whether they're in the app or not. And increasingly, we are continuing to support more of the Apple platform, looking at integrations into Apple CarPlay, Apple Watch, things like that. So now I know that was a lot to cover, and especially with my big issue in the middle with losing power. But in a 30 to 45-minute overview, I just wanted you to know, this is Field Maps. This is where we're going. We are deprecating Collector, Explorer, and Tracker. With the latest release of ArcGIS Online, Tracker capabilities are now included with a field worker named user. So that's some new information there. There's a lot of different things, but all in all, I just want you to know that we're your local government team. We're here to support you. Matt Hone, Gene Janot, their account managers for local government. Joe Ekman, he's our state government account manager. Myself and Lauren Volker were solution engineers for local government. And then we have Nicole and Scott, solution engineers for state government. We're all based here out of the St. Louis regional office, and we're here to help. So don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. Our mission is to help you succeed in any of your GIS endeavors. So now we'll open it up for a little bit of Q&A. I want to make sure all your questions are answered. If I don't get to your question, don't take offense. I'm gonna be conscious of your time, but I don't want any questions to go unanswered. So my contact information is here on the screen. Don't hesitate to reach out, email me if I don't get you the answer. If I don't know it, I'll find somebody here that does. So I'll get you in touch with the correct team to help. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and turn my video on and open the chat. Okay.
We do have a question here. This is Micah. Chase, you mentioned smart forms will soon have attribute calculations and rules, and I assume these will be set in the Field Maps web app. If so, will they apply to enterprise feature layers as well, or only hosted layers? Will they work offline?
I believe they'll work offline, so it should work in both environments. I'm not 100% sure, but the way that I've seen it, it looks like it's going to be calculations based on if you can hit the data from wherever you're at, like you have the capabilities, it's in the map, then we should be able to do calculations off of it.
Okay. The other question we have is Field Maps available now? I can answer that. Yes, it is.
It is. Yes,
I have downloaded it.
Yep. So don't be scared of it. Like, I hope it was kind of easy to see that Collector and Field Maps have a lot of similarities, right? So I think your users in the field, if they're using Collector, when they go over to Field Maps, it should be really similar, just extended capabilities, right? More options.
Chase, this is Mike again. I'll pipe up. Yeah, when I downloaded it and opened up my maps instead of Collector and Field Maps, it was almost very anticlimactic. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, it looks like Collector, kind of from a basic map user and point of view.
Yeah, and also there's like the functionality on the back end on how you set it up so that you can have a map that's editable. It's similar, right? It's just having that editing enabled and utilizing that backend web app can help you a little bit more.
I'm sorry. The other question that came in is there additional cost to migrate from Collector to Field Maps?
No additional cost. This is a free offering. I say free. It's an offering that is in the ArcGIS platform. Accessing it in the field requires at a minimum a field worker named user. But other than that, the app itself is just part of ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Enterprise.
Chad and everybody, this is Gail Shea. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Just back to Robin's question earlier about people going to IGIC. Siler will be there too, and I think my tech support guy is going to be giving another talk about Field Maps. So if you have more questions, you can watch another demonstration about it, and we'll be there to answer questions. Micah knows because I work with her and several other people that I have touched base with. There's one thing that is new that you might need to think about for migration is there's a minimum OS operating system requirement for Field Maps that wasn't there for some of the Collector things. So if you have a slightly older iOS or Android device, you might need to double check the system requirements for your minimum OS. Don't forget about that.
Yep. That is definitely for sure. Let's see. Looks like we got some other in here.
Can you see those questions, Chase?
Yep, I can see them now.
Perfect.
Did I hear that Smart Forms is only accessible when using the new Map Viewer beta? No, Smart Forms is baked into Field Maps. We're going to start baking it into more applications. So it's another one of those anticlimactic things. Like basically, it's just a way of viewing the data when you're editing it in more of a form-centric approach. But currently it's just in Field Maps, and we're looking to expand it to the rest of the platform. Next question. If you modify feature templates within Field Maps web app, do they apply to only to the hosted feature layer, or can you apply them to an enterprise feature layer, even after publishing those feature layers without a template? With the right configuration, it can work off an enterprise layer or a hosted layer. So like we were talking about with versioning and those inspection workflows, we utilize and leverage your existing database design platforms. So how you've designed it can be utilized there. There are some versioning things that you have to adhere to, but yes, you can utilize it with enterprise on a served feature layer or in a hosted feature layer within Portal or ArcGIS Online. How long will Collector be supported? I believe it'll continue to be supported. It is being deprecated, but like most of our other things, we don't like to just, kill something. We kind of support it as far as like if somebody wants to run it for a little while. I know that there won't be any advancement on it. It'll probably get more clunky as time goes on with OS updates and, operating system updates. But you do have some time. I haven't heard of an exact date. There may be a date out there. But I would just start looking into Field Maps as a migration. But I don't think you have to be, switch today. It's just it is the new route, and it's where all the development will go.
The post says by the end of the calendar year.
I think that'll probably by the end of the calendar year it'll be dropped off of ArcGIS Online, the
store,
the app launcher.
Right, but you can get
if you still have it and it's still connected, it probably will still work.
Correct.
It'll kind of be like ArcPad. It won't ever die.
That'll be the first thing that disappears is the ability to download it new, but you can still run it if it's on your machine already. Yep.
Yeah. I just the way everything's went since I used to be on the other side of the table. So I spent 14 years in city and county government GIS administration. So when I came to Esri, it was really easy for me to see some things that I'd never seen before. Staying up to date with like the newest versions used to be scary, but it's becoming more beneficial than scary. Like I'm seeing a lot more benefits to staying up to date with stuff, and it's kind of like Windows, right? So Windows updates in the back end, you don't even think about it. You don't really see much. Once you get up to that front edge with ArcGIS Pro and stuff like that, those updates in the back end, you don't even really see any change. You just know it's operating with the most efficient technology that's out there. And so, working to get organizations up to that front edge is one of our main goals, so that you don't end up version locked or, a lot of times they'll have customers have an issue and it's just because it's not the newest version. It was fixed in the next release, right? So just keep that in mind in the back end. I don't see any more questions in the chat. Anybody else have anything they want to talk about?
Chase, we really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to talk to us about this, and we will definitely be reaching out for you and your cohorts at ITAG in June.
Okay.
This is Micah, and I just want to put a little plug in. Our next Lunch and Learn is in May, and the date is totally escaping me, and I'm looking it up as I talk right now. May 19th. So there'll be some information going out, and it finally is going to be about census redistricting. We've rescheduled this a little several times, so we'll be sending that out. And Chase, we've been recording this, and once we get the video downloaded and put on our IGIC website, we'll be sending out information because there was a lot of great stuff presented here today, and so you can go back and use it for your reference if you need to, or share it with people that weren't able to attend today.
Awesome.
Anything else,
Yeah,
Josh or BJ? Anybody else? Oh, go ahead, Chase.
I was gonna say, that, like I said, don't hesitate to reach out. Anything that has to do with Esri, we're here to help. I specialize in a lot of things centered around drones and field maps, field data collection. So don't hesitate to reach out to us now that I'm in my basement. I've been here for over a year. And we're definitely more available. So just let us know.
Real quick, Micah, this is BJ. Unrelated, I just want to remind everyone that the business meeting is next week for IGIC next Wednesday. Everybody's welcome to attend and watch and voice your opinion. It's your organization.
All right, guys. Well, is there any more questions? I'm going to sign off. I got another meeting to go to. Thanks for sticking with me, and apologize for the power outage issue. But glad to get to talk with everybody, and look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, Chase.